Welcome back to springtime in Vermont, where we won't be needing our little mudroom anymore. And for the record, Charles told me while he took it apart that he'll actually be able to reuse the screws he bought to put it together. This week, our Yurt Rainwater Collection System has become priority number 1 because it may take 4 months to fill up our tanks. We purchased these gutters as an option with our Pacific Yurt kit, and Charles is putting them together here with rivets. But as you'll see in a few moments, he was pretty disappointed when he unpacked the brackets to attach them to the yurt. What are you doing, Charles?
I'm digging in dirt, getting ready to finish up the vents on all these tanks so we can get the gutters up and start getting water in here. So the vent in tank 1 comes out away from the manhole going into it, because I want to be able to take that manhole off and access the tank. Of all the tanks, that tank will probably be the one that has to be cleaned the most often. So I need to be able to get in and around it without disturbing the vent. And it's also got a Y with a clean out. Not for the purpose of cleaning it out, but for the purpose of, if we ever needed to, we could pump water into it that way. We can put a hose in that clean out and run water into the tank. Tank number 2 is completely different vent, because I've come right out of the top of the manhole cover, because it's got the gauge, the level gauge, and there's a string that comes down out of it and has a float at the bottom. So as the water level goes up and down, the float goes up and down, and the dial moves. So that string had to go straight down into the tank, so I combined it with the vent and stuck it in the middle of the lid. And then the third tank is basically just a straight vent. I also put it out away from the lid because that's where the pump is. So it's quite possible I need to access that. So I put it out away from the lid as well, and it's just a regular vent that comes up and has no other purpose.
Well, it's finally time to spread the rest of our wildflower seeds. This is actually a mix of native grasses and wildflowers. Hopefully the plants will grow up to where you can't see the lids of the cisterns, and even the vents should be camouflaged. I gather you're not too happy with the gutters that came in the yurt kit.
The ends of these brackets are very sharp, so you could easily put them up in there and rip through, or over time the cover might chafe on it and wear a hole in it. And then the other problem is these holes are way up at the top of the rafter, up under the cover, where you can't get to them. You can't get to them to put screws in them without taking the whole siding off. So I'm going to end up having to put another hole down here. It's going to take me all day just to redo the freaking brackets. So I went through and filed all the sides all the way up. This top portion I actually put on the sander and put a rolled edge on the top, so that makes it a little easier to push up. And I rounded all these corners and filed them off so they're nice and smooth. I think the way I've got it figured out works better than what Pacific Yurts says to do. So I find the location, I go up as high as I can, and I make the slit they say to make, and then I slide the thing up in there on top with the bracket on top of the rafter. And I had went through and I put a third hole in every single one of these down lower. So I'm putting them up in there And now I can see where the third hole is, and I don't have to slide anything up. So I just put a screw in that third hole, make sure it's level, put a screw in the third hole, and that'll hold fine. Ooh, there she goes again. There he is. The bluebirds are building a nest. I saw the female fly out of the nest, come down here to the edge of the driveway, pick up a few twigs and grass and stuff, fly right back and go in.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Good morning. Charles is trying to finish up the plumbing of the gutters to the cisterns, and I hear some power tools coming from under the yurt. He just went to buy a fitting, and let's see what he's up to.
This pipe coming out of the ground is the pipe that goes to the cistern. It's the rainwater fill pipe. There will be a first flush system that comes straight down from those drains through the deck, and it'll just drain right here, kind of in this gully here. And then once that fills up, it'll come over to another pipe that comes down and around under the deck and then down into here, and it goes down to the cistern to fill it up.
Are you sick of plumbing yet?
Getting there.
Good morning. It's the middle of April and our weather has warmed up finally. We had a few ridiculously warm days and today is gorgeous. We have the windows open in the RV, which is awesome. And Charles has been hard at work on the rainwater collection system for the yurt. That's the big one that drains into the cisterns that we took all summer to bury. I'm getting ready to put our last piece of our water collection on, which is this bottom piece of the first flush. This little ball will go in, and when that first flush tube gets full, the ball will go up there and seal it off, and then it will divert the water down and into the tank. And this also has a little screen in it that can be cleaned. So when it gets first flushes a bunch of crap down in there, I can take that out and clean it. Alright, with that, it's the last piece on. We're ready to collect water in our cisterns, and it's supposed to rain tomorrow.